Hello, hello, my stamping friends. It's Anne, the Stampmaven here, and it is 6 o'clock here in Wiley, Texas. I'm just north of Dallas, probably 20-30 minutes. So if you're in the area here, I'd love to get to know you. Tonight, I have a fun pop-up fun fold card for you, and you're not going to believe how easy it is. I have my hair pulled back tonight. It is just roasting around here. We've had several days of 100-degree weather. Fortunately, I work inside for my day job, I'll call it, and of course, when I'm in my crafting room, I've got air conditioning in that as well. I don't know if you can see my t-shirt because I'm just kind of looking into the camera, but my sweet friends Kelly and Carol gave me this at Stamp Club yesterday, and I just had a birthday a week ago. If you're part of my newsletter community, you probably have seen that in my newsletter. And this says, June girls are sunshine mixed with a little hurricane. It's a perfect example. It's my favorite color, purple. So there you go. And the card I have for you today is going to be made with Blackberry Bliss, which is one of our favorite purples. So let me turn around the camera. I'm going to make you seasick for a little bit, but then we will get rolling here. I hope you all have been having an awesome day. All right, here we go. Hello, Carol. You recognize that shirt, I'm sure. Hey, Maria. And anybody else that has popped in but maybe just hasn't had a chance to say hello. I really enjoy doing these Monday night lives. Honestly, I'm probably going to take July off just because we've got some other stuff in the works. But more about that later. All right, here is the card that I have for you. It is made using the Happy Hedgehog stamp set, which actually has a punch that goes along with it. And before I end this live today, after I've done the project, I'm going to show you, see this little hedgehog here, and he is looking this way. Well, what if you wanted him to look the other way? So, did you know how you might do this? Well, I am going to show you how to do that. And actually, yes, this one I actually did with vanilla cardstock. Okay, so here we've got our card, and whoops, let me get him in the right place for the wow. And wow, there it is. Let's see it again. There is our little pop-up. Hey, Kay. Hey, Edith, I'm so glad you guys popped in. Well, let's get started on making our project. So, I am using for my designer series paper this Design a Daydream 12 by 12 pack. Now, you can't buy this, but you can get it free when you host a party or you place a $150 order or more, get your friends together and do a big order, and you'll get that. It's normally $30, but you get it for free using $18 of Hostess credits. And what I love about this pack is just show you a few of the different patterns here. It's double-sided, of course. This is one I really like, the sort of jagged stripes and then purple on the back. Here's another one. Lines, all the different colors in the pack, and then you've got leaves on the back. There's all sorts of great pieces in there, so I just wanted to show you a little bit of those. All right, so let us get started on our card. Now, I will have the measurements for you on my blog later in the week, but I'll just tell you some of them as we go. I need to bring in my paper trimmer, so give me one sec. Okay, so this is a piece of 11 by 4 1/4 Blackberry Bliss cardstock, and it is scored at 5 1/2. Now, our paper trimmer is awesome. It's got a cutting blade, it's got a scoring blade, it's got a little tray here at the top and the bottom that helps you keep your paper straight, and you can keep both of the blades on the trimmer and just use the one you want. It's got the markings here that make it very easy. All right, so this is the first step of our card. We're going to really burnish this with our bone folder. Then I have got, let me bring my card back in here. Okay, so I have used a piece of white cardstock and then a piece of cardstock from the paper pack. Now, this piece here is, let me give you the measurements of this. It is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then this piece, your designer series paper, is 4 by 5 1/4. So these are going to layer on here beautifully. I'm going to get my liquid Tombow glue, and I love this little contraption where you can keep the glue in and keep the point from sticking. Another friend gave me that for my birthday, and of course it's purple. So I'm going to just take a thin line of this liquid glue and put it around my card on the edges. I'm going to keep it in about 1/4 inch because I want to make sure it doesn't squirt out the edges. Then I'm just going to line this up, make sure my border is even, and then we're going to put this on the front of our card. Again, just taking our glue around. You can use really any adhesive you like. You can use our seal, which we are going to use later because we need a strong adhesive for the middle. Okay, so this is on here. Now, I have punched out these circles using my 2-inch circle punch. This is Petal Pink, and this is Blackberry Bliss. Now, I'm going to get my stamp, And the one I'm going to use is, again, from Happy Hedgehogs, Finding a Friend is the Best Discovery of All. I'm going to ink this up. Now, here's one little tip for you. When you have a photopolymer stamp, which the stamps in this Happy Hedgehog are, if you stamp just directly on a surface, you might get a clear image, but if you will use your piercing mat and just stamp it right on there, you get a cushion, and then you get a perfect image. So we're going to go ahead, take our Tombow, and we're going to just make a little circle there, and we're going to go ahead and put down that circle. Then I've got my Blackberry Bliss circle that I just had here. There it is. And I wanted to just create something a little bit fun, and it is going to go right here. But what I want to do first is stamp this little butterfly, which comes in the set as well. So, and I'm just using the same block for all of this because, you know, why not? It works. So we're going to use our white craft pad, and when you're stamping with this craft ink, you want to make sure that you don't get it too, what do I want to say, mushy, I guess. You don't want to get the ink globbed on there too much. So we're just going to stamp it there, make sure it transfers, and there it is. Now, if I wanted to, I could, before this dries, put white or clear embossing powder on there to make it stand out even more. But I think it looks fine just like that. And as we let this dry, you'll notice it kind of turns a little bit pinky and almost matches the petal pink. So I thought, hey, that's pretty darn cool as well. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that right there, being careful not to touch that butterfly because it isn't dry yet. You could come in with your heat tool and do that, but I think we can keep it fine there. Now, I used some sequins on this one. Actually, there were ones that I had left over from a paper pumpkin kit. But for this one tonight, I want to go ahead and use our iridescent rhinestones. They come in several different sizes. So let me just pop that down here. And we're just going to grab a few of these. Now, I should be using my take a pick tool, but that's buried somewhere in the bowels of my craft room. So rather than be late on my live, I'm just using some scissors here. And I think you guys will forgive me, won't you? All right, so now we're going to just grab this little guy here. Okay, now what we need is our hedgehog. Now, I've stamped this ahead of time, and I am going to show you how to do the reverse, like I told you. But we need to add a little bit of fun to this hedgehog. So I don't want to do it right on my piercing mat. I'm going to bring in some of my Stampin' Blends. Guys, if you have not tried these Stampin' Blends, you will love them. They're just like markers, and they actually are alcohol markers as opposed to our Stampin' Right markers, which are water-based markers. The Stampin' Right markers are great, however, sometimes you get streaking and lines in them. That does not happen with these. You get a light and a dark color of each, and they're just awesome to play with. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to take the soft suede, and I've got the light one, and I'm just going to go around my hedgehog, and I'm going to color just a bit of the tips here of his fur. And I'm just going to not color all of them in. I'm going to continue going around the bottom here just to kind of make it even, okay? I'm going to use this same soft suede to color his mouth. I've got Flirty Flamingo that I'm going to use to color the little ear right here, and the little nose, because I think we need a pink nose, whether or not that is really what they have. Then I'm going to take basic black to fill in the little eyeball here. And lastly, I'm going to use one of our ivory markers to do the feet here on my hedgehog. I wanted these feet to be just a little bit lighter, excuse me, than the soft suede. Now, if you wanted to fill in the fur, you could easily take a Stampin' Dauber or one of our blending brushes and fill that in. But for tonight's purposes, I'm not going to do that. Now, can you see here how this is almost starting to turn that pink color? If I kind of put them side by side, and I just thought that was really cool. The white is kind of picking up, well, not really picking up, but as it dries, I'm tongue-tied here. The Blackberry Bliss is showing through. Okay, so now we're going to take our little hedgehog and we're going to put him down. If you wanted, you could use your dimensionals, but this card is going to have quite a bit of thickness to it, so I don't want to add any more thickness. Okay, now we are going to start to work on our inside here. So I'm going to leave that open just so you can kind of see it as we're rolling along. So I am going to use 2 more pieces of 4 by 5 1/4 cardstock from that same paper pack. Now, I'm going to just do the same thing, put my ink on there, and we're going to just center it here. The nice thing about this liquid glue, you've heard me say it a bazillion times, it is very forgiving. Sometimes my customers will load on a bunch of Stampin' Seal or the Terran tape, and then if they get it crooked, they'll rip it off and destroy their card. Typically that won't happen with the liquid glue. And also, if you put down one corner first and then kind of fudge in the rest of them, kind of, I find doing the diagonals kind of first and then going around and getting it all done it will work really nicely. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is bring our paper trimmer back in. So let me get that. So here's our paper trimmer. This is a piece of 6x6 from the Designer Series paper. So that is a 12x12 sheet, and you can get 4 different pieces out of this. So that means you could make 4 different of your little pop-ups here. So what we're going to do, make sure our cutting blade is out of the way. We're going to score this vertically at 3 inches. Then we're going to rotate this 90 degrees, and we're going to score it again. Okay? Then, and remember, I'm going to have all these measurements for you on my blog later in the week. Then the last score we're going to do is on the diagonal. Okay? Now the great thing about this clear track cover is you can see right through it, so you know exactly where you're scoring. Okay? So now I have got that scored. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to fold it on those score lines. Okay, and then we have got our diagonal, right? So what we're going to want to do, can you see, it's a little bit easier to see the score lines on the back. So I've got my diagonal, my 3-inch here, rotated 3-inch here. Now what we're going to do is we are going to sort of work it. Work it, sister, work it. We are going to push in these corners, and then we are going to make like a little sandwich here. Okay? And then we're going to take our bone folder, and on both sides we are going to make sure that's creased well. Okay? So now we've got that going. Okay, now as you can see in this card, the happy birthday is kind of centered in here, so you've got to make sure when you're doing your stamping on these other little pieces, which I'm going to show you, that you line it up correctly. So I've got 2 squares of petal pink that are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then I have 2 pieces of basic white. Here we go. And these are, let me bring in my grid paper, which is a nice way to measure. Okay, so these are 2, and actually I told you wrong. The white ones are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and the petal pink are 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. So you'll be able to layer them on here and have a border. But we are going to do our stamping first. So we are going to do happy birthday, because this is going to be a happy birthday card. And I actually picked the happy birthday stamp from this adorable little party puffin stamp set. So I'm going to get it here on my block, which is right here. I'm going to ink it up right here. And I'm going to practice on my scratch paper because I just want to make sure that I've got it and it's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to ink that up again. Now, remember, I want it to be on the diagonal. So I'm going to stamp it right here, and I'm not too fussy about, okay, is it perfect? Is it not perfect? Okay. Now, you'll notice that I wasn't totally paying attention, so I got a little ink here. You've got two choices. You can take it in your ink pad, put some extra ink, and then put embellishments on it. But what I'm going to do is I am just going to turn it over, and I'm going to stamp it again. How about that? Now, you can also, I meant to show you this trick, you can use your grid paper to line up your corners there of your paper, so you'll have that exactly where you want it. So let's just stamp it off again, and then we'll just come in here and voila! Perfect this time. Yay me. Alrighty, you can tell it's been a long day. Alright, so now I've got my happy birthday, and I'm going to take my Tombow again and put it on, and we're going to, I've got ink on my fingers, so that's not good. So let me just turn it over here, and we've got it here, and you can see I've got ink on my fingers here. So you know what? We're just going to go ahead and put some ink on this and pretend that that's what we wanted it to look like. What do you think about that? There's not a mistake. There's just an opportunity to embellish. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Marilyn. Do you like my little ink trick there? Now, I've already stamped another little hedgehog that we can put on there, but I want to show you now how we're going to make these hedgehogs that go the direction we want them. So let me grab a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to cut it so we can get them both in here. All right, so this little tool here is my Stamparatus. How many of you have used a Stamparatus or a stamp positioning tool? If you have not, I really encourage you to check it out. I have a couple customers who have Parkinson's disease, and so when they would stamp, their hands would shake like that, and they would not get a crisp image. This Stamparatus makes it so they get a perfect image every time. So I have our image from our hedgehog stamp set. Now, this does come with magnets, but I don't need it for this. This is the silicone craft sheet, and we're going to use that to create our reverse little critter. And you can use this technique for any animal that you want to go in a different direction. You're going to love this. All right, so here is our little hedgehog, And the neat thing about this Stamparatus, if you did not get this stamped perfectly, all you do is ink it up again, and stamp it, and it would be in the same place. Okay, now, here's where the fun starts, okay? We're going to pick this up, and we're going to just move it. That's what's really neat. You can do stamping with this tool. Let's say you had a card and you wanted it to say, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday in different colors. You could do it that way from this particular tool, okay? So now what we are going to do, we're going to take this off. We are going to ink this right up. And horrors, we are going to get this little dot out of here. We are going to stamp right onto this mat, and we are going to double stamp it because I want to make sure that we get it how we want it. Now, if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber and you get all of these, little mini ink spots, they are great for using on your Stamparatus. Sometimes when you use a big ink pad, you get it on the edge and you have to go back and clean it. All right, so here we go. Now we are going to put our paper back down. Then we are going to come in and we are going to push, push, push. Can you see what I'm doing here? Who's figured it out? All right. 1, 2, 3, voila. There's our little hedgehog going the opposite way. So now, this little guy, we will punch him out using, well, actually what I'm going to have to do is fussy cut this one first. So the one thing you've got to just, and you're going to get to see my on-camera fussy cutting so I can show you, this is really not that hard to do once you've stamped him. If you don't want a fussy cut, then all you have to do is just stamp it right on your paper that you're going to use, and then you don't have to fussy cut. I know some of my customers love fussy cutting. Are any of you in that camp where you love fussy cutting? Or are you, fussy cutting is evil. If it doesn't have a die or a punch, I'm not going to do it. But here we go. So this is going to really end up taking less than a minute, guys, to do this. And then you just follow along. The best way is to rotate your paper rather than your scissors. I don't know if you can see that I'm actually moving my paper rather than my scissors. I used to teach 5th grade, and that helped my 5th graders when I told them, rotate your paper, don't rotate your scissors. Keep your scissors kind of straight. All right, we're almost there, guys. All right. Let me zip it in here, and we're going to get his little nose so we don't cut him off. All right, and there we've got our little guy going this way. Now I can just kind of cut this off, and I can stick this now in my punch. Okay, let me make sure you can see it. And then you just basically, I need to do it with my left hand so I can punch with my right hand. So you just basically line this guy up like this and punch, and voila, we've got two different hedgehogs. What do you think about that? Pretty slick, right? Okay, now let's finish our card. Okay, so we have got now our piece of petal pink, and now we've got our just plain piece of white, and that would be where you would just write your message to your friend to whom you sent this card. Okay, so we're going to layer this on here, making sure it's even, Steven. And again, we can just fudge it around with the liquid glue. Okay, so now, again, remember, this is going to go into our card like this. So you need to kind of be thinking about it when you are matching it up. So we're going to take the happy birthday here, and we're going to take our glue again. Oh, and see, I got ink on the back too. Really, when I'm stamping, I do pay more attention, but I guess tonight I just kind of got excited to show you this fun fold. F squared fold. How's that? Now we're going to take this part, and it's going to go down here, and then we're going to put it right here. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to close this up, and now I'm going to get my Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to make sure, whoops, you know what? We forgot our little hedgehog, didn't we? Yep, and I've got to color him first. So let me do that quickly. Oh, I just love my lives because, you know, you really get to see the real me. And I hope that you enjoy the real me, because I sure enjoy stamping with y'all. So we're going to just zip along here and put our little marks with our little hedgehog here, and I've done it thicker there, and then down here I'm going to use the fine tip end to finish him off. I just love, you know, you can do it differently each time. Okay, make his little eye, make his little mouth here. Okay, and you could do that black if you wanted. Then flirty flamingo for his little nose, or her little nose. It can be a female hedgehog. And we'll put our little glue here. All right. Now, there we go. And now we're going to put our little hedgehog right here. And we're going to put a couple of more sequins on. Actually, rhinestones on this one. I decided we'll just carry the rhinestones all the way in on this. And if you wanted, you could actually color these rhinestones too, which is another fun thing that you can do with the blends. I'm just leaving them clear for now. But I am going to close up my ink pad over here. All right, so now you've got this, and you want to make sure that we are going to get this down in the right place. So we're going to, your instinct probably would be to put this in the middle of your bottom one, but you don't want to do that. You actually want to line it up at the top here. And you can put the bottom or the top, the glue first. I'm going to put it on the top here with my seal. Okay, and you can use Seal or Seal Plus. I've done it both ways, and both work just fine. Then we're going to close it up. Okay, then we're going to come here, and we're going to do the same thing on this one. If your seal gets stuck sometimes and doesn't advance, all you have to do is run it on your craft mat, which is another use for that. You know, a lot of us are used to just really pressing hard from our snail, and you don't have to do that with the seal. Okay, so I've got it here, and now I'm going to just take my bone folder on the back to make sure it's in there well. All right, are you ready? Boop, look at that. Now, got to show you one more thing. Remember when I opened this, we've got this little butterfly on the inside that pops. So let me show you quickly how I did that. I took this little butterfly die from our beautiful wings. Then I just took a little piece of twine, again, some I just had left over from Paper Pumpkin. Then I took just a little bit of my glue again, and you just need a little bit. I put my twine here, then I had punched a second one, so I'm going to match up the patterns. If you wanted to, you could have this on one side and this on the other. It really doesn't matter. It's just kind of how you like it to be. Okay, so now we're going to just scoot it over here to make sure it matches. Then all I'm going to do is take my card here, and I'm going to just lift up this little corner, and I'm going to just scoot my little end of my twine back in there. And if you scooted it up a little too far and you need to poke it back in there so this petal pink sticks down, then just do that. Now we've got our little butterfly here. So ready? 1, 2, 3. Boop! There's our little butterfly. Shirley Malarkey, do not worry about being late. I'm so happy you popped in from North Dakota. You like the Stamparatus, Melissa? I do too. What do you think of this card? Do you think you can make this? Is it easier than you thought it would be, Carol? Did you think it would be a little more complicated? So, and now the other thing, look here. You saw me stamp this in white, and now it has totally turned pink, which I love because it matches this pink. Now, if you wanted to make sure that it stayed white, then what I would have done would be to emboss it with white or clear embossing powder, and it would stay that way. So that is my project today. And I actually, I just love this little butterfly on the inside. You can write your message, and if you wanted, you could put in another little note. This fits, of course, right in one of our medium envelopes. And again, I will have the instructions for you on my blog later this week. I am so excited that you popped in to spend the night with me. If you need any Stampin' Up! Products, you can go to my Stampmaven.com blog, and there's a little shop with me button on there. If you have questions, please, please, please leave them in the comments or email me at ann@stampmaven.com. And I will see you all next time. I will let you know if I'm going to take July off. Of course, I'll pop in if I do, and I'll let you know ahead of time. If you want to have a Stampin' Up! Party, if you think, hey, I might like to do this to either get my stampin' supplies at a discount or maybe make a little money, next month in July we will have a joining special, so ask me about that too. Alrighty then, see y'all next time. Have a great night.